have a full itinerary for you all today. So without further ado, I would love to pass the ball and introduce Christian Rivera, who will be opening the show.
Hey guys, thank you for being here and thank you for sharing your time with us. Just like Auburn mentioned, you could be anywhere right now, but you're here with us. So that means a lot. Before we start, I have to introduce my mentor and former boss. I respect him so much, Cesar Moreno. He is the Director of Leadership Development for Sitel Group. Learned a lot from this guy, so I know that this is going to be an amazing session just because he is here. Cesar, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more for the audience?
Thank you, Christian. Well, a little bit about me. 24 years experience in education, more than 50-year experience in the call center industry in multiple disciplines, including operations, training, project management. I'm really passionate about learning, and I guess you're going to tell at the end of this webinar that I get really passionate when it comes to talking about development and enhancing the employee experience. A little bit about my journey in Sitel. Started 13 years ago. Always been a team player, partnering with operations, with reporting, with HR. And I've been wearing several hats in the last 13 years. Learning manager, operations manager, leadership development manager, director of performance, going back to operations, then came back to learning, L&D director of learning now that I support the Americas. And a little bit about myself. Before joining Sitel, I was part of Chrysler Financial, doing collections and customer service, L&D, but also operations for highly delinquent accounts. And I'm based in Mexico. I like to do yoga. I don't know, that's something personal about me. And thank you again, Christian, for this invite. It's always great to talk to you. So let's have fun. Let's have one of those conversations that we always have.
Thank you so much. Let's jump right into it. The reason why you guys are here, we're going to talk about different things. The main 3 bullet points that we're going to address for this hour is going to be the CX paradigm, how have things changed because COVID, as you guys know, and I'm very confident that we're on the same page. Things will never be the same, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And we're going to talk about how, moving forward, Cesar and me, personal thoughts on how we should tackle the new skills for training and what are some of the things that every company, every learning manager, and every learning advocate should have in consideration as we move forward. So let's start with that. I think that learning never stops. We say that a lot in Learning Tribes, and we firmly believe that learning will never stop. And it's funny because now that, with the COVID situation and everything that happened, a lot of companies, every company went into crisis mode, every company went into panic mode. And the answer and the key to transition to the new normality is and will be training. So learning never stops. It's just that, we're going through changes, and what we have to do to go through those changes as a successful company and teams is that we have to learn how to adapt to this new normality. So let's start with the CX paradigm, and let's talk about, the very specifics, right? Why CX? And I'm going to share with you guys some numbers and some KPIs that we got from Zendesk and different sources when it comes to customer service. Very simple. 67% of consumers and 74% of businesses buyers say they'll pay more for a great customer experience. I think that we all knew that. That is not new. That has always been the situation. But the funny thing here is that number is going up. That number is increasing. And as we move forward and as we continue going into this situation, CX is going to be the difference. And we have to understand that there's the regular definition of customer experience most of the times has to do with the way that we treat our customers and the people that we sell our products and services to. But customer service should be part of the DNA of every company. The same way that our frontline associates handle our clients and provide customer service experience, us as leaders, we need to have that CX mindset in everything we do, because at the end, our clients are the people who's working for us. So that's something that we need to have in consideration. What are your thoughts on that, Cesar?
Well, now that you're mentioning about that, I'm a customer myself. And right now that I'm here home 24/7, if I need someone to help me, I mean, getting a service or fixing something on my internet, I really have that need of a human being really addressing my human needs, right? I really, I think that, and I think it's not only myself. I think everybody who's at home right now, they have like a higher need of feeling appreciated or feeling valued. Because again, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, this COVID-19, I mean, we've never faced anything like this. So again, like I was talking to you the other day, I mean, it's not about reinventing the wheel. I mean, maybe it's not even a wheel, the thing that we need. And that's the thinking outside the box, because most of the times I know a lot of companies, they want to, what used to work brick and mortar, they want to like spice it up so that it's virtual, but sometimes that's not the case. I mean, you need to start from scratch. But again, I think like me being a customer, I really value someone who cares.
That is true. That is true. And you can put that everywhere, right? We all want a representative that cares, but that representative as well needs a leader that cares. And that leader as well needs, has another leader that they have to care. So the company, it should be part of the DNA at every single level, not only on the frontline associates, but for every single employee in the company. CX should be in everything we do. I'm just going to read one more. Gartner predicts that 89% of business are expected to compete mainly on customer service experience. Because most companies, right now, the market is so competitive in every single industry that the only thing that is marking a difference between one company and the other is the customer experience. For banks, most of the time, I will prefer to go with the bank that will provide the best customer service experience, not even paying attention to the interest that they're charging or to anything that they're doing. Customer service makes a big difference from one to the other.
And you know what, Christian, I was thinking also about facilities. I mean, right now, it doesn't matter if one bank looks better than the other one, because you're not actually going out of your house to go to the bank. So at the end of the day, it's that special touch that you get from frontline. Because, and like you said, it's a culture. Everything starts from the head, right? The directors, the managers, and they need to foster that culture of really customer care. And the keyword is care. I mean, again, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
I love that. I read that somewhere. I think that is it John Maxwell, the one who says that?
Well, I always quote myself. I'm just kidding.
Love it.
I mean, the authors of quotes, so.
I love it. You're completely right. Let's move forward. Let's talk about the CX premises, right? These are, the principles, and, some of our main principles when it comes to CX and customer experience. Every action creates a personal reaction. People are instinctively self-centered. Customer familiarity brings alignment. Unengagement employees don't create engaged customers. I love that. That one is my favorite if you ask me. Unengaged agents or unengaged associates are going to create unengaged clients or customers. So we need to have that in consideration. Employees do what is measured, incented, and celebrated. And I am going to stress on celebrated, because that's one of the main things. Every time that somebody does something right, or every time that somebody puts the customer experience up front, we have to celebrate that big time. That's the only way it's going to stick. And most important, you can't fake it. These are things that cannot be fake, right?
And Christian, I remember a quote, and I'm all about quotes. Like, it's not personal, it's business, but it's always personal. It's always personal because you need to address the human need. So regardless if you tell me, well, it's business, it's always personal.
It is always personal. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. It doesn't matter the industry or the nature. It is always personal. And I'm always going to go with the personal one rather than maybe promotions and stuff like that, because I'm loyal.
There you go.
Amazing. Now, let's talk about what happened in the last couple of months, because there was a seismic CX change. Things have changed and they're never going to go back to the same. After COVID, customer service and the way that we tackle that, the way that we train, the way that we do everything, it's going to change. It changes, and it's not going to go back to normal. Even after this, we have seen so many changes in customers and companies and the way that they do things that let's elaborate a little bit more on that. The digital transformation, for example, and I love that example, right? I was reading the other day something on LinkedIn. A couple months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, we thought that the digital transformation in companies was an added value. Only the most ambitious and visionary companies were talking about digital transformation. But there were a bunch of excuses and reasons why we're not doing it. Then COVID hit, and in a couple of weeks, everybody figured it out and everybody moved drastically to the digital transformation, right?
Yes, yes. Like Nadia mentioned that COVID-19 just came and said, you know what? I don't care if you have budget. I don't care if you're gonna run a pilot. I don't care if that timeline looks very ambitious. I mean, you have to get it done. It's now or yesterday. And I can tell you about, I mean, the Sitel group, I mean, how we reacted. Obviously, at the very beginning, we have to react fast. Again, maybe it was not like that great a strategy at the very beginning, but at the end of the day, you need to focus on your customers, like you said, and our customers are our associates. I mean, they were gonna transition from being in an office to being at home. So obviously for them, their main concern, it was like, I wanna feel safe. I wanna feel confident that I can provide the best customer experience at home. And for many of them, it was like, I mean, there's no way that can happen because I'm at home. So we had to react fast because we couldn't let our associates get frustrated. And you know what? At the end of the day, Maslow was right. I mean, safety, belonging, mattering. But first you need to cover safety. And that's how we reacted. Obviously right now that we're more like business as usual, which I wouldn't like to call it like that because we're not yet there. We're working with strategy. But at the very beginning, we had to react. Well, at least that's what happened in Sitel. I don't know about the rest of the guys. You tell me.
No, I can tell you that every single company, and not only companies, it's funny because, you know, high educational universities and colleges and schools, everybody have to shift like this. And, you know, they didn't have that many answers. Probably they didn't have the infrastructure or the team to make it happen, but they did. And now it's a reality that we're all living in, right? I think that this is a good moment to understand how the people on the audience feel. We're gonna use an activity, or we're gonna do an activity because we want to know, how do you guys feel about this? Auburn, can you help me with this one?
Tag team me in. Okay. So if you all want to go ahead and click the link that has been dropped in the chat, it should take you directly to the poll. But if not, you can go to www.menti.com and enter the code 388803. Again, you can go to www.menti.com and use the code 388803, or you can click the link directly in the chat. If you've ever listened to a podcast, I feel like my voice was like right on. So yeah, submit. Let us know. How do you feel about the future? Once you get to the poll, you'll be able to type in your response, and you'll just need to press submit. Just got uncertain. I love a good word cloud. Anxious and worried. Okay. Hopeful. I love that. I'm happy that was in yellow too. Tense. Okay, green. So it's a little bit relaxed. You could be tense. Optimistic, worried. Okay. So we're getting like a good mix of feelings here. Serene. Interesting. Serene about the future. Great.
By the way, I love this activity. I love this, you know, the way that we can interact with the audience like this. It's amazing. Keep it coming, guys.
We'll do this for about 2 more minutes. Again, anything you're feeling about the future. Ooh, motivated for change. Yes. Change is coming. It's here. It's happening.
It's not leaving.
Apprehensive is fair. Apprehensive is fair. I think that there's a lot of uncertainty in it, and not a lot of people know where to go yet.
And you know what? I've always said that for us, same means safe. So we don't like to be taken out of our comfort zone, because our brain, that's how our brain functions. I mean, if something is a little bit different, then we lose it. And I can see that. I mean, I see some of those words. I see uncertain a lot and anxious. I mean, that happens a lot. But again, it's our brain. That's the automatic reaction. I mean, it's just be able to work with that and get to a smart state in our brain, right?
I love those phrases and quotes that you use all the time, Cesar.
Yeah, I like to read a lot, and I like to talk to people a lot. So
I was
a well-cultured guy.
I was reading that No Way to Go But Up, and that song, I don't know if there's a lot of hip hop fans, but like, I'm all the way up. I love that. That's so true. All right, so the poll will stay open, but Christian and Cesar, if you want to have any last comments, I'll pass it back to you all.
Well, as for me, like, I'm not surprised about the words, and I like the fact that we have some positive there, right? I think the people who typed optimistic, they had their moment in which they were not that optimistic, right? Again, I mean, you get hooked on the emotion. And I think what matters the most is how fast you can get unhooked on the emotion. But again,
Yeah.
that's human nature. I mean, that's human nature. And I always tell people that. I tell my coworkers, my direct reports, that it's normal to have these reactions, to feel like anxiety, uncertainty, but it's just a matter of, you know what? Don't get stranded there. Let's move forward. And I can see a lot of people already did that. So good job. Thank you, team. Awesome.
Amazing, amazing. Let's go back to the presentation. We good?
Good.
All right, so let's move forward. I took some notes, and I'm gonna go back as we go, deeper into the topic. I'm gonna go back to some of the words that you guys use. Thank you for your participation. Individual change. I think that this is one of the most important concepts here. So it's like when it comes to the sense of security and how people feel right now. What are some of your personal thoughts on that and your experience with Sitel?
Oh my God. Well, I can tell you that for me, now that I see sense of security, I mean, that's the first thing that we want to address, right? Obviously, everybody, every associate, every employee, they want to learn about how to transition from brick and mortar to virtual. But the first thing that we need to tackle is to give them that self of confidence. Because if someone doesn't feel confident, they will not have their ability to absorb all of the data that we want to get them, right? So I see a lot of companies that focus a lot on processes, on procedures, on soft skills only, but they do not address the human part, which is the sense of security, the sense of belonging. I mean, you cannot get any employee to be able to be working like in smart state in his brain if he's not able to cover those two first. So for me, and we can see, I mean, you can see the stats. I mean, when you don't feel safe, you cannot perform. Bottom line, because you're only focused on how anxious you feel. I mean, what's missing, and that you're not in a safe place. So for me, I think this is spot on. Great slide. I like it.
Yeah, and I always tell that to my clients. Happy associates create happy customers. Happy customers create happy numbers. It's as simple as that, right? It's very business oriented, but you need to understand that, maybe the objectives are very operational, but the strategy has to be very human because that's the world we live in.
And you know what, Christian, for a lot of people, this theory is very cosmic. Like, oh my God, you're talking about people being happy. But I mean, be improving. I mean, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, studies have proven that 90% of our decisions and behavior are dominated by our emotional brain. 90%, only 10%, it's the intellect. I mean, again, it's not me. It's Carnegie Mellon, it's MIT, it's Harvard.
It's science.
Just saying.
So now that we're talking about care, let's talk about that for a second, right? And how consumers are seeking out brands that care. Because again, it's not only, the way or the expectations that we have with our frontline associates, and I said that at the beginning, it's as well the expectations that we have with our leaders. Because if we don't care about them, or if we don't have them in an environment in which we show them that we care about them and we teach them, we train them, and we approach them like that, then we might not be able to expect that they treat our customers the same way. So that's something that we need to have in mind very, very well. And I love this graphic and this metrics right here, because what you guys can see, and I'm going to stop for a second to explain what you guys are seeing on the screen. This is a comparison between 2018, the blue number, and 2020, the orange kind of red number. And you can see how it has shifted in every single one of the categories, from isolation to identify, distrust and trust, comfort and ability, vulnerability and efficiency. It has changed. People is looking for being more self-sufficient. People is looking for self-services. People is looking for have accountability or have the ownership on everything they do, included the way that they are being developed. So people want to be more engaged. It's not about just the company thinking about every single strategy to develop their people. It's about as well empowering people so they can do it themselves, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think all of us, we want to own our learning path, right? We want to be held accountable of that because we know what we need and how we need it and when we need it, right? But again, you need to show me the light. Otherwise, how am I supposed to see where I have to go to?
And more than ever, for the employees, for the customers, for the potential customers and the customers that, the customers that we used to have, trust is going to be the most important thing moving forward. we need to trust the company that we're working for. We need to trust the leaders that we work for. It's a very simple principle.
And you know what? I'm going to quote our CEO, Mike Small, because the strategy,
Amazing guy, by the way.
the strategy for 2020 to 22, it's going to be one team building trust. If you're not able to build trust, I mean, there's not going to be any traction. I mean, it has to be just one team. And again, I can see that. I mean, I'm a god, kind of like you read my mind, because I see that emotional word highlighted. And it's all about the emotion. Remember that what we crave for, it's the emotional experience. I mean, our leaders, obviously they need development, but they want that emotional experience of enjoying the path. A lot of times companies they're really concerned about the final destination, which is getting to that role, but it's the path, the one that cares. I mean, it's how the employee enjoys that learning path. And he finds out what's in it for him. Because at the end of the day, I want to know what's in it for me, right?
Totally accurate. Now let's talk about the new skills, in some of the new approaches that we need to have moving forward. And I want to start with what you guys are seeing right now, just to explain a little bit more the infographic. And by the way, you guys are going to receive this later, right after the webinar is over. We're going to send you these numbers and this metric so you guys can use it in your internal meetings, and you guys can elaborate a little bit more with your internal teams. But what you guys are seeing right now, it's a path of any person that starts working with your company. We all start at new hire, and we move forward through the onboarding, through the core training, reinforcement, how do we become experts, and how do we upskill to a point in which we grow in the company, right? And I think that, I love that Sitel is a company that, it's my alma mater, first of all. It's my former company, a special place in my heart. But, you have to be very proud on the way that everybody grows from inside in, right? Everybody grows from the company. Most of the site directors I had and most of the operation managers I work with in Sitel, this is people that, started as associates, and they make their way and they grow. So can you tell us a little bit more about that in your experiences? Are you being the owner of all that growth?
Well, from a nearshore perspective, which is Panama, Colombia, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Brazil, yeah, it's been a 15-year journey. And I feel very proud of people that I train and I developed when they were supervisors, coaches, or team leaders. And now they're leading a country, just like Carlos Muñiz, for instance. And I guess what makes the difference in our company, it's that development, it's a culture. I mean, it's the air we breathe. A lot of times we think a lot of the first 90 days, and I equip you with the tools, with the knowledge, and then I forget about that because, obviously I need to focus on other people. With Sitel, the culture is different. We have the infrastructure, which I'd like to talk about that later on the podcast, on the webcast. But I think what matters the most is that we're able to connect with these individuals. We're able to know what their path is, because at the end of the day, you can outline the path, but you need to talk to them. You need to find out what's in it for them, what the ambitions are, what the final destination sounds like and seems like, right? And I think it's just a matter of leaving the culture of development. I think that's what makes Sitel Group different, right? Because again, just FYI, just between you and me, and I know it's just between you and me, I was working, I started as a learning specialist. I was here for 2 years, and then I left and I went to Chrysler Financial and to LG Electronics, but I came back. And there's a reason why.
I know.
I can tell you that.
Right? Everybody comes back. And when it comes to that, then I have to elaborate a little bit more. There are some companies who are doing an amazing job, not only at the way that they're hiring people, but what they're doing before hiring people. Pre-onboarding solutions are one of the main things, and it's a very hot topic right now. Special shout out to my team, my Sitel team in Philippines. They're doing an amazing job with one of our platforms that we'll show you guys later. But they're doing a 2 weeks pre-onboarding course in which they're learning, language proficiency. They're learning about customer service experience before they are hired. So can you see the advantage that this people is going to have after a very robust 2 weeks of development on those specific things? When they start the training, they're already 2 weeks ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and the way I see it, Christian, we're investing in people and we're building that loyalty even before they start working for the company. So it's like, what company would invest in you without actually having the job? So that tells you, a little bit of the values that we live. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah, it tells you a lot. And then when it comes to the onboarding piece, right after you hire the people, how is your training helping them go to the next level? How are we equipping them, right? Because at the end, happy employees or happy associates are successful associates. Nobody wakes up in the morning and say, you know what, today I'm not going to be good at my job. This is the day in which I'm not going to be good at my job. Everybody wants to be successful. It's just that everybody's equipped in the same way, in a different way. And that's one of the things that we need to have in consideration now more than ever, because customers are going to require to feel like they're taken care of, and that companies care. But at the same time, that's only going to be a reflection of how well we equip our frontline associates and how well we equip and we develop the people leading those teams. What do you think?
Well, I totally agree. I was just thinking that, like the example that I was saying, I mean, if we have some techie people in the house, you want to make sure that your operating system compatible with the human that you want to develop, so that you can then work together to a mutual beneficial future, right? So that it's business for the company, but also development for the person. So
exactly. And let's talk about then what happens after. I prepare very well, very good associates, right? They're very well prepared. But then after 3 months, 4 months, 6 months into the company, what am I doing to continue that learning cycle? What am I doing to reskill? What am I doing to upskill? What am I doing to prepare them for the next step? And that's, most of the visionary companies, when it comes to the way that they develop their organization, are paying a lot of attention to this. And we're going to see some examples of what Sitel is doing later on. This is one of the most important cycles. And right when you get to succession here, you have to understand that what you're doing is that you're basically going back to the beginning, because now you're starting at a new role and you didn't know how to do this job well. So now you have to go through all the different stages once again and once again and once again. And that's what we call the training triggers, right? You're at a new role, at a new position, or at a new company. Trigger. People need to be developed. You are already, very well. You're a very good associate. You know what you're doing. You know your job and your responsibilities very well. What are you doing to improve and to continue that learning cycle? And what are you doing, or what is the company doing to give you the tools to prepare for the next steps? Those are the training triggers that we have designed, and this is the blueprint. All right. So now, we're going to spend a lot of time here because this is one of the most important points of this, this whole webinar. These are, the 3 pillars to design any efficient and any very, very efficient training program. And it all starts with the baseline. How hard do we need to work? Before you hire somebody, you already know what they're going to do. You already know what are going to be the responsibilities and what are going to be the KPIs that you're going to measure them with. Well, you're going to make them accountable for it. How well, do we have of an understanding do we have on the baseline? We need to understand how success looks like before we can start creating any type of training program, right?
Well, and again, I mean, if you cannot measure, how would you know that you're successful or not, right? I always said that you have to start with the end in mind. I mean, you really want to know what you want to get, and that should be measurable. That's going to help you, start working on the development. You cannot start working on development of any curricula, of any material, of any content, just with an idea. Like, oh, you know what? I think they need this. I believe, because there's a lot of I think, I believe, I don't know, I perceive, people tell me. Data will tell you the story. So you have to work with data in order to understand first historical information, and then from there, what the final outcome should look like, right? And here we're talking numbers.
Yes.
So everything starts with numbers and data.
Scientific learning, we're going to call that. And then, the next step is the curriculum. What is that? What is it you're going to design to tackle that? What is going to be the pedagogical approach? How is that people learn better? And how is that people is going to grasp the information that you're giving them so you can equip them properly, right? And this portion is a little bit more about context than content. Because at the end, it's not about designing the most beautiful and shiny training program. It's about developing the most efficient and the most robust training program. Then by the end of it, people know what they have to do and they're very confident at what they do. And we have seen some companies getting great investment or return of investment when it comes to that, right?
Well, and again, like what you said, I mean, it's not about, I mean, processes and procedures. I mean, it's not rocket science. I mean, people just by sitting in a class or just going through a self-paced e-learning, they can learn it. But when it comes to behavioral development, I mean, that's what you need, because a behavior is something that, and I always think of learning and development as more than just within our Sitel group, right? We always think in this company that, I mean, whatever I teach you, whatever I train you on, I mean, that those tools and resources will help you also at home. And they will help you, I mean, with your social, I mean, friends, I mean, socially speaking, right? So a lot of times right now that we're talking about COVID-19, and I'm just like, that was a trigger, talking about triggers to me. Right now, we're working on that in the Sitel group, right? We're working on this, crafting this curricula that it's focused on behaviors that our associates, our leaders, our managers need to be able to feel safe virtually. I mean, because meetings are different, interactions are different, processes are different. So again, but you don't want to work with the process, because if you see it, I mean, the process is always the process. I mean, the only thing that it's different is the approach, and the approach, it's tied to behavior. So you work with the behavior and you tackle more than just one process, because you were able to work on a behavior. Remember, behaviors drive numbers.
Not vice versa.
Yeah, there you go. You know, you get me, Christian.
And finally, targeted efforts. I think that one of the most important things to understand when it comes to training and L&D is that, and you mentioned that before, Cesar, it's not a matter of a team, it's a matter of a company, right? Targeted efforts. You know, it's how do we make sure that, you know, even if I have the more robust, you know, complete and efficient and accurate training program, how do I make sure that the leaders, the operational leaders, are going to follow up on what the agents learn? How do we make sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes to that development mindset, right?
Yep, I think like I always think of like, because we hear roles like the training manager, the learning manager, but if you see it, I mean, like every director, every manager in this company, it's a learning manager and it's a training manager, because they develop their own employees. So also it should be like a culture to embrace. I mean, like learning or development, it's not owned by the learning manager or the training manager. It's owned by everybody, because it's a culture. And a lot of times, like people are not very connected into this philosophy. And I think that's what makes a difference. Again, I'm going to quote again, Mike Small, our CEO, and he believes in one team, one plan. I mean, we all own one team, we're one team owning one plan. So there's no, your operations, you are learning, you're reporting. I mean, we're working for the same purpose. So we own everything. And I think that's the culture to embrace. Because we know that, I mean, back in the day, it always is a fight, operations and training. I mean, it's been the story. I've been in this business for more than 20 years. It's always been that struggle. I mean, I think right now we've made great progress. We L&D guys, as I call ourselves. But I think it's a matter of really being able also to sometimes we need to educate our colleagues, operations managers or reporting managers or hiring managers, so that they understand that it's a culture to embrace, not just a functional area.
You're completely right. I think that the name of the game is sustainability.
Yep.
How do we make sure that what you learn in training lasts? Because the forgetting curve is as real as the learning curve, right? You put all this investment and all this efforts, and companies, you know, they innovate when it comes to how they're going to develop their teams, but then that's it. And there's no sustainability moving forward. And after a month or 2 months, even if I went through the more robust and complete training program, gone. Yeah. So very, very interesting. And you know, that reminds me, and I want to tell you guys a story about one of our clients, Gannett. We re-engineered the whole training program, having in consideration the baseline, the curriculum, and targeted efforts. One of the things that we were able to achieve, 65% reduction on speed of proficiency. That means that the agents were taking 65% less time to become top-notch agents than before with the previous learning program. When we did this example or this business case, we have already trained a little bit more than 100 agents, and we noticed that from the get-go, we're talking about from the very beginning, agents already reduced 60 seconds of AHT. And we didn't change the processes, we didn't change the systems that they were using, we just re-engineered the way that training was being tackled, having in consideration the baseline, having in consideration the best curriculum with the best pedagogical approach and the operational KPIs, and making sure that every single leader was part of the project. You know, from the operational leaders, from the training leaders, everybody embraced it, what we're trying to accomplish, and the end result was magical, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, and you said the keyword. I mean, everybody embraced this project, and that's what made it successful. Good job.
Now, I want to take this time to understand, you know, from the audience that we have on the webinar, how do you guys feel that the training program that you have right now is, you know, how good it is? So Auburn, can you help me with this one?
Of course, it's poll time. So what's gonna happen is my trusted ally Alex will drop the link in the chat, or you could just go to the link that's already existing and press next question. We'll wait here a moment. Okay, so again, you can go to www.mentee.com and use code 388803. Same link, same code, same everything. The only difference is the order. So what do you need to improve in your training? Now, the way that it's going to work is you're going to see a drop-down option. One is the most detrimental, the most important. You need this to improve in your training currently. So you can pick from the drop-down options. As I said, there will be 4. Pick number 1, which will be the most important, and then you can either press the plus button, or it should automatically pop up once you've selected your option, and pick the second, you know, most important, third most important, fourth most important, etc. So it'll automatically populate on screen what everyone's saying. This may take, you know, a minute or 2, but again, you'll just need to choose from the drop down. Well, first, click the link, go to the site. Next, order what do you need to improve in your training from most important to, I hate to say least important, but you know, furthest on your radar. So right now what's leading the way is high quality, up-to-date content. Next is curriculum design. Third right now is adequate training platform. Oh, just moved up. Wow, okay, so it feels like a race, like, oh, this is taking the next lead, like this is the next step. Last is training delivery and management. It's interesting that high quality, up-to-date content is at the top, and I would imagine it's just because so much content is available right now that it's really about pulling the most important and the most relevant. I feel like training delivery and management is really close right now with curriculum design, although it keeps, you know, dueling with adequate training platform. So we'll keep this open for 2 more minutes if you want to finish up the ordering. Again, thank you all for participating. These are always my favorite times of the presentation. Although you all both have been super lively and super informative, as I predicted, but I really enjoyed it thus far.
This is amazing.
So it looks like the poll isn't moving. We'll give it 1 more minute to see. But do you all have any initial thoughts as we finish this up?
Okay, so I'll take a quick note of those answers. All right, so let's start.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thank you guys for participating. Those answers, you know, I think that everybody is going through the same, right? The struggle is real. Yeah. Now, let's talk about, you know, we already finished with the training program. We already made the adjustments that we have to do. We have a very strong and robust training plan. Our agents from the onboarding, they're super happy. Let's talk about upskilling and reskilling, because then, you know, that's the next step on the path. What you guys are seeing right now is one of the most important leadership and managerial skills that are, you know, kind of leading the charts when it comes to what companies are paying attention to. Leadership and management, big topic, 57% there. Creative problem solving and design thinking, definitely. Communication, it's a big one. So then, we are, you know, our people know the processes. They know what is that they have to do. But how, you know, you can't deny these 3 skills. They're super, super important when it comes to the way that they interact with customers, with the way that They interact with every single employee. And for leaders, even more. Cesar, what are your thoughts on this when it comes to the way that Sitel is driving this development on leadership and these things that we see here?
Well, right now I'm looking at the top 5 soft skills. I see creativity, persuasion, collaboration. And again, I mean, I like that. I like the fact that we're talking skills, we're talking behaviors. And again, this is, I don't know, this is just my personal thought. Like a lot of times we hear this word empowerment, right? Like we need to empower our employees, right? I tend to disagree with that. I think we need to remind our employees that when they walk in the door, I mean, they walk in the door with power. I think our responsibility as a company is to create the conditions so that they can exercise that power.
Yes.
I know, yeah, it's kind of like a little cosmic concept, but I do believe that. I don't believe that we empower people. I believe that our responsibility as a company, at least in Sitel Group, it's to create those conditions so that our employees, I mean, associates, managers, directors can exercise that power. And actually, it's funny because we have the Empower Center. There you go. I mean, talking about empowerment. and I mean, it was a great partnership. You guys, I mean, Learning Tribes, Sitel Group. And I don't know, I'm going to put you on the spot, Christian. I'm sorry for that. But can you share with the team the Empower Center, a little virtual tour, just for them to know what I'm talking about, which is...
Definitely. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share I'm going to change what I'm sharing right now.
And just in the meantime, I mean, it's like an online library. I mean, you have podcasts, you have TED Talks, you have articles, you name it. So.
Okay, amazing. So what you guys are seeing right here is what we call Sitel, Sitel My Academy. This is basically, how Sitel is managing the virtual training experience right now. And, there's different products out there, right? There's content management tools, there are learning management tools, but we like to call My Academy and one of our signature products, Tribu, as a learning experience platform, because it's not about just managing, those mandatory trainings that you have to do, the compliance and security trainings that you have to do at the beginning. It's a little bit more towards empowering, just like you mentioned, in a very formal way, the training of our associates. And fun fact about this, before I start with the digital tour. On March, we saw that the activity on My Academy went up 100%, and we thought maybe this is the answer to all the COVID and all the situation and everything that's happening. It never came back. Right now, we see that we have 100% more participation when it comes to this, and this only tells you that just like Sitel, every single company is shifting to digital training, and it's way more easy. It's easier. It's way more comfortable right now that everybody's working from home and that we're probably not going to come back to, the previous normality. This is not an added value or a commodity anymore for any company. This is mandatory if you want to be successful, if you want to remain competitive, right? So what you guys are going to see right here is this is the main dashboard. We have this platform provides option for self-paced modules, blended learning modules, because that's it's a very big trend right now, the blended modules, and you're not only going to take your mandatory compliance everyday trainings. You can also look for things that can help you improve, or that can help you advance your skills at anything that you want to learn. Agents can come here and learn about further development and customer experience. They can learn about different how to work at home courses that we have. And we have all different type of courses. How to become, what is it you're going to go through when you become a coach, how to be a good learning specialist. There are a lot of very formal courses that people can come here. And you can gamify the courses, you can build your own courses. And in the past, how do you keep track of everybody that you trained? Did we had any analytics on the people that we were training and the performance? In the past, no. And for companies that they don't use an LXP or an LMS, they don't have that. But here we do. In this platform, we can see how we can see analytics on very specific, the amount of certificates that we have delivered, the amount of courses that we have, the amount of learners, and we can be as specific as global reports, course reports, learner reports, and IoT reports. This is amazing. Now, one of the main problems that we have when it comes to digital transformation of the L&D efforts is that you need to be a developer. You need to be a creative designer. You need to have authoring tools all these different authoring tools in the market just to create one module online. But this LXP has a studio feature that empowers everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you have knowledge on developing courses or anything like that, to create your own course. And it can be built in just a matter of hours. You can create different segments. You can upload, welcome to the course. You can upload videos if you want to have. This is a video of Oliver Camino welcoming everybody on this session. So we have the president and the owner of the company welcoming people. This is amazing. If you want to go advanced and add additional things like PDF, files, SCORM files that you already have, surveys, videos, word cloud, and different things, you can definitely do so. If you want to add discussions, because this is another thing, right? People want to interact with each other. So if you want to add like something like a forum or something like that, you can definitely come here, and it becomes a type of a social media type of learning, right? You can add problems, numerical input, text input, so many things.
Move into the Empower Center just real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just because I want.
And this is amazing because the Empower Center, then it's the informal part of the training, and here you're going to be able to see all the different things that you can do, because it's a little bit more about creating content. It's not about creating content. It's about creating content. Mm-hmm. If you go to, for example, people skills, and you want to look for an article or a learning item about this because you want to improve this, but you don't find anything on your HR or learning catalog that can help you with this, you can come here, and this platform is gonna filter and curate all different learning items, and you can then filter them by course, by video, by article, by podcast. You choose. And even better, let's say that the L&D team, you don't know where to start. There's so many items here. Where do I start? What is the first thing? Do I read an article? Do I watch a video? Do I listen to a podcast? Well, training teams in the future are going to be able to create their own learning path. And this is how you use all the different learning items that you have to create a course out of everything that you find on the internet.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so now that we finished with the virtual tool, let's go back to the presentation for a second, so we can wrap this up. I want to give you guys the last 5 minutes so we can ask questions.
We love questions, so.
We love questions, right?
But Christian loved them more, so ask Christian.
In a nutshell, guys, and let's what I hope that you guys got a lot from this webinar, from this hour. Things that we need to have in mind in the future. We have to reconnect with our customers. They want to be cared, and customers are not only the people who buy our products and services, but the people that we work with every single day. They will stay with you if they can trust you. And we need to set a new set of skills and soft skills to face what's coming ahead. We need to relearn and learn. And like I said before, we're gonna send you some additional resources to your emails, so you guys can read a little bit about this. Cesar, what are your final thoughts before we open the questions?
Well, my final thought, I think I said it all. I don't want to sound redundant, but I think in a nutshell slide, I think the most important part, at least for me, that we need to relearn to learn. I mean, it's a new game, and whatever worked last year, it's not going to work this year. So.
Definitely. Well, with that, guys, Cesar, again, thank you for joining me. You have been a mentor for me for so many years. We have a special relationship. So thank you for being part of this. I hope that everybody enjoys this. I'm going to stop here, and I apologize because I know that I talk a lot. Auburn, can you help me with the questions?
Of course. No, everything was super informative and super important. So thank you all both for sharing and keeping things lively. I love it. If anybody has any questions, you can either put them in the Q&A chat, or you can put them directly in this chat, and we'll go in order as we receive them. First question from Claudia. Thank you. What efforts would you suggest for sustainability?
I love that question, Claudia. That was an amazing question. I'm gonna go first, Cesar, and then I'll give you the microphone. First, alignment. When you build something, don't build it in your own team or in your own learning cluster. Involve everybody. Get the VP of operations, get the director of operations, get your operational people, your HR people, everybody. Get their insight as you build it. So you have them in mind, and as you build it, they're gonna be like, oh wow, that's my idea. So when it's out, they're gonna support it even more, and they're gonna start preaching about it. So you want to build a message that everybody can be behind us. So that's one of my advices. Or what about you?
Well, I was gonna say you can tell that I'm your mentor because you said exactly what I was gonna say. But I mean, when it comes to sustainability, and I agree with that. I mean, learning cannot be like, it's not a solo sport. I mean, it's a team sport. I always say that. I mean, learning, it's not a solo sport. But also it's important that we make sure about the follow-up, and the follow-up that we have some. I mean, kind of like you have to think short-term, mid-term, and long-term, and have like people working together who originally started with this idea, following up on these short-term goals, because you have to have goals. Again, data. You need to have data to measure the success of your process, because that's how our operational partners think. They think metrics, they think revenue, they think ROI. So we as learning leaders, we need to think of that into the equation. I mean, otherwise we won't get their buy-in.
That is true. That is true. Make sure that everybody comes in. It's not only the trainers that have to facilitate. Maybe the VP of operations can facilitate as well. And you'll be surprised how happy they will be to do it. And the message is going to be there, and it's going to be part of the learning. And when they see the results, they're going to love it because they felt like I was part of that. So that is my advice.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for the question. So the next question is, where does AI fit into the new CX normal?
Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
There is a concept that I heard a couple of days ago about adaptive learning, and how based on performance, there are specific learning paths and modules that, specific, platforms are going to offer you. I think that's one of the things that we need to have in consideration. I also learned that a couple of days ago that in Sitel we're designing a training bot that will help, based on the questions that they see on the slides where the facilitator is, they're going to help the facilitator by starting polls and questions and stuff like that. So it's like having a digital assistant, depending on where you are in the training, that can help you, create a better experience and a more engaged platform. Because that's one of the main challenges that everybody has right now. How do I keep a virtual conference engaged? How do I keep everybody on the same page? You need to have 8 arms. You need to have Auburn in every single one of your sessions doing polls and doing dynamics. And if training was supposed to be dynamic before, we need to step up the game.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cesar?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I know that we only have 3 minutes, so I like to answer Virginia's question about the suggestion on. So in order to provide answers to everybody as much as we can. So she asked about what suggestions we may have to bring that team together, operations or learning. And I have to say, Virginia, you do a great job at that already. I mean, you transitioned from learning to operations. So I mean, you have the answer, but anyway, I'm going to give you my and I think at the end of the day, we need to fully understand that it's one team. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Well, it's Mike Small, actually. But I need my Cesar response. Okay, you need my response. So we need to fully understand as L&D that the department generating revenue, it's operations, right? We need to understand, and I told you that, Christian, back in the day when you started, that we are a cost. I mean, we do not generate any revenue. So that should be like the first mindset, right? And having that on mind, having that said, then your approach will be, I really want to make sure that operations makes it to their budget. There's an ROI, they meet gross margin. So you're thinking data, you're thinking metric, you're thinking money. So if you have the same mindset as your operational leader, it's going to be easier to build this partnership. And again, storytelling. Whenever you present data, I mean, or even if it's a pilot, I mean, if it's not something that you have already launched, pilot, you have historical data. You need to be able to tell a story with data to your operational stakeholders. I don't know if that would answer your question, Virginia. If not, you can always ping me in Skype.
Well, guys, we're in the top of the hour. I apologize. I know that we talk a lot. You know, we're super enthusiastic about these things, and we can do webinars for 3 hours when it comes to these topics. Thank you for joining us. Hope you guys learned a lot. Hope it was very informative for everybody. And I'll see you guys on the next webinar. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.